Hello, once again, it's your favorite Zoomer here. And today episode, we're going to learn about optimizing your work in Bash. In the last episode, when I talked about installing and configuring Dunst, I mentioned how to utilize some of the Bash keyboard shortcuts to optimize your work. Um, but it was only a short mention, and today I want to go much deeper into that topic. Mm, so uh, let's start our terminal. Mm, we'll start um, with moving our cursor, because what we can see right here is our command prompt. Um, Prompt is more precisely this symbol right here. It tells you that you can write in this line, and you can also customize your prompt um, to display some informations, more informations than just this dollar sign. For example, in my terminal, it displays my username, the name of my computer, the host name, and my current directory that I'm in. You can see that if I go to, for example, documents, right now my prompt is tilde slash documents, which is my PWD. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. So if we start typing some commands in our terminal, there is a high probability that you will make a mistake. And let's say that I'm going to that I want to ls that I want to grep some text. For example, um, documents. But grep does not work without a input. So let's say that I want to um, redirect my my current directory, the listing of my current directory, to this grep command. So how can I do it? I need to go to the beginning of the line using, for example, arrows. Write ls minus la al pipe symbol, and then I see that there actually is a documents in my lsal output. But moving with arrows is not really optimal way of moving in terminal. What you want to do is to utilize some of the keyboard shortcuts. And by default, at least in Bash, Bash uses Emacs shortcuts. Emacs is a text editor, a GNU slash GNU text editor. It's pretty old tech, and I don't know exactly, but I think that it's even older than Vim. Maybe not VI, but Vim, I'm pretty sure. And Emacs, same as Vim, is focused on optimizing your work by using very powerful keyboard shortcuts. And most basic ones are moving your cursor to the beginning and to the end of the line. You may already know how to do it in most modern text editors, which is with using Home and End keys on your keyboard. Home moves you to the beginning of the line, and End moves you to the end of the line. But you can also use Emacs Emacs specific keyboard shortcuts, which in this example would be Control A to move to the beginning of the line. Control A probably because A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it's rather natural to move to the beginning of the line. And Control E will move you to the end of the line, while E like the end. You can also move one character to the right by using Control F like forward, and Control B to move one letter to the left, one character to the left, Control B because backwards. You can also jump one word. You can also jump one word forward and one word backward using Alt F, which in my case does not work because I'm using DWM, and those key bindings. You can see that this little character here changes whenever I press Ctrl F and Ctrl T because it moves me from the window display mode in DWM. It changes display mode from tabbed to floating windows, I guess. So I can use another way, which is, I guess, Control Alt F and Control Alt B, and those will move you to the next word. You can also well, no, this is actually all about moving your cursor around. So let's print some. And now let's print some command that will produce some large output. For example, ls-al. And you can see that my screen is currently filled with the output of previous command. And my prompt is at the bottom, and it's not very readable right now. I would prefer to have this prompt at the top, and I would prefer my screen to be completely clear. And how can I do it? Well, there is a command in Bash in Linux in general. This command is clear, and it will clear your screen. You can see that my screen is already empty, but you don't have to utilize some commands to do it. You could also use keyboard shortcut Control L, like Control because it has C in it, and L because L is also in clear. So Control L will do the same thing. There are also some interesting commands because you don't. Many times using Bash, you would encounter a situation where you want to redo some command. For example, I'm doing, let's say, lsblk to list all block devices that my computer actually has. In this example, I have only one. But if I were to insert some USB device, there would be another device called SDB right at the bottom, and then I would probably want to mount it, so I would write sudo mount def SDB to /mnt. Right now it won't do anything because there is no special device dev SDB. But if there were, I would like to see if there is such a if that device was actually mounted, and I would do it by redo command lsblk as ls blk. And right now I have to retype this whole command. And in this example, it's not very, it's not it's not that much painful because this command is rather short. But let's say I want to find some files, and I will write some very long command like lol that takes txt, and then I would like to execute some command on this file, and you can see that this command is rather long, and retyping it is firstly it's prone to errors, and secondly it's very tedious. So what can I do? I can press I can press up arrow to bring back the previously executed command to the monitor. Right now it won't find anything because there is no such file on my desktop. So I will cancel this command, but you can see that now I can just press up arrow, and what's more, I can press up arrow many more times to go back in history of previously inputted command. And for example, I can go back even to that lsal that we were typing at the beginning of today's video. So I will clear this command again. What's also interesting is some commands would need argument. For example, let's say I would like to ls some specific, I would like to edit some file, for example, /etc/dwm.conf. And I would first, I would like to check if that file actually exists. Let's say maybe not this, maybe boot, grab, and grab config. I would like to see if that file actually exists, so I would do ls on this file. But now I would like to edit this file. So what can I do? I can write vim and retype this whole command and this whole argument, and it's very tedious, as you can already see. But you can do bash actually supports yanking last argument. So what can I do? I would write, I don't have to retype this argument. I can just write the command and then click Ctrl Alt and dot, and it will yank, it will paste my previously argument to the previous command. I can also as the same as in the same way as with the up arrow to go back in history, I can scroll over those previously inserted arguments by pressing this command, by pressing this dot character many times. Yeah, so let's say that I have written some junk in my terminal, and I would like to, and I don't want to execute this because it won't do anything, but I would like to delete this whole line. What can I do? I can press backspace to delete something that was behind my cursor. I can also press delete. No, I cannot press delete. But what can I do? I can press Ctrl U to delete the whole line before everything before my my cursor. So Ctrl U deletes everything before this, to the left of the cursor. And there is also Control K, which deletes everything to the right. So you can press Control K to delete everything to the right, and Control U to delete everything at the beginning of the line, and it will clear the line. You could also press Control D, and it will delete the next. I guess delete should work in this regard, but it does not. I guess it's probably my bash configuration. But you could, to delete the character to the right of the cursor, one character, you can press Ctrl D and backspace to delete the previous character. Oh, I did it again. There are also some other pretty there are also some other nice commands that you can use to edit the line in Bash. Right now you've probably heard about you've already heard about Control D to delete the character to the right. You have already heard about backspace, which will edit your line by deleting the previous character, but you can also print some characters to the line by using Control V and Control Q. But as you can see, let's say I will print something. I will just copy some text. Let's say I will copy text Linux. And then I would paste it to the line. How can I do it? If I press Ctrl V, it will not do anything. It will just press Ctrl. It will just enter some weird character, which actually is Ctrl V. But you can see that I need to press Ctrl V 2 times to actually enter this character. And that's because I guess there is something in Bash that's called quoted insert, and I can do Ctrl V, print some text, and press Ctrl V again, and it will do nothing. So I guess that's not really working on my in my terminal. But Ctrl V should do something as quoted insert, and I guess it would place the words that you're inserting in quotation marks. But back to the back to the copying and pasting something in your terminal. You can paste something using not Ctrl V as you would suspect, but Ctrl Shift and V, and it will print. It will paste directly into your terminal without formatting. So if your text is formatted some way, for example, it has new lines, etc., it would just paste your text as is, as a naked characters. You could also copy some text. For example, say I would write Linux is the best operating system. And what can I do right now? Let's say I would want to copy this. So I can just select with my mouse, unfortunately, press Ctrl Shift and C, and then I can paste it somewhere else, for example, not only in my in my terminal, but also in my web browser, in some text file, anywhere. X in my clipboard. So I could do anything I want with this. There are also some rather marginal but quite interesting examples of keyboard shortcuts that will edit your line. You can upcase a word or downcase a word using Alt U and Alt L. Alt L. Yes, Alt L should work, but it does not. Something is wrong again. Yeah, so what you can do is you can press Ctrl U to uppercase a word, and Alt U to upcase the word. Or you can say Alt C to capitalize it. You can see that now all words are capitalized, which means that first letter is capital letter. But let's say I want to you can also transpose characters or transpose words, which means you will change their positions. You will swap their positions. For example, let's change the position of I. Let's say I made a typo and press instead of Linux, I typed nukes. So I can just move my cursor over the N, press Alt T, Control T to count to Linux. Move my cursor to the I, press Control T to transpose, and it will swap the character under my cursor with the previous character. So I can do this as many times as I want. You could also transpose words using Alt U, Alt T, but it's not working for some. Oh, it's Control Alt T. Actually does what we want. So I guess you can also downcase a word by using Control Alt L. Oh no, Control Alt L clears the screen. So I'm not really sure why it does not work. It should work. You should just press Alt U to upcase a word. So that's unfortunate. It does not work because I'm looking like a complete fool right now. All right, so Control U has also which is deleting line before your cursor, is also oh, that's not what I wanted. Has also its counterpart, which is it's synonymous command, which is Control X. Control X selects line, so you can say selects the output before and after your cursor. So you can say you can select entire line by pressing Control X and then using backspace to delete it. You can also do something like Unix rub word rubout and Control V delete the previous word before your cursor. So that's Control W. It's also like delete horizontal space, but it does not work for me either. There is also There is also sometimes the need arises to delete not the whole word, but only part of it. So let's say I want to cd to documents, let's say driver license, not group, but driver license, Android SRC, and assets. Let's say I want to do this. But right now, after I've entered this command, I realize that really I do not want to go to SRC assets. I want to go to SRC. I want to go to web SRC. So how do I do it? Because I cannot just press Ctrl V, because it will delete the entire word back to the previous space, which is to the CD. That's not what I wanted to do, because right now I need to retype the whole thing. What you really want to do is press Alt and backspace, which will move to the previous word, which will delete everything to the previous word, but the definition of word using Alt backspace is different than using Ctrl W. The delimiter with Ctrl W is only a white space, but the delimiter with which separates words from each other using Alt backspace is actually anything that is not a character, a normal character. So it will be dash, hyphen, slash, and I don't know how this sign is called. It's floor. No, it's not floor. But it will also work. For example, Alt. You can see that it deletes to the previous delimiter, and the definition of delimiter is much more broad than just white space, as it is with Ctrl W. Well, also something that you might see I'm currently doing, the bash. I do not need to write the whole line. Actually, I need to just write some. I just need to write a part of the path, part of the command name, and then press tab. And bash will automatically autocomplete this command, this input for me. But how does it work? Well, if there is only if bash realizes that there is only a single match, for example, with my current directory consists of desktop documents, downloads, and so on, the directories, and if I press cd D, bash will suggest that I can cd to desktop, to documents, or to downloads, because all those all those directories names begins with a D, and I can scroll through those. I can scroll through them by pressing again and again tab, and it just loops backward. Loops. I cannot, unfortunately, I cannot scroll backward. I can only scroll forward. So you can, but if there is only a single match, because let's see, with single D, there are 3 matches: desktop, documents, and downloads. If I were to write DO, there would only be 2 matches, because desktop does no longer match this pattern. Only documents and downloads do. So, but if I were doc, there would be only a single match, and bash will not print those suggestions for me, because there is only one possibility. So it will just complete it, and then I can type tab to move. to iterate over catalogs in the next over files and catalogs in the next step on my path. So that's completioning. But let's go back for it, because you can see all possible completions with Alt. I guess it was Alt and oh right, you can see all possible because if you press Tab, it will try to autocomplete to the first match, which in this case is desktop, and also prints all other matches. You can also press Alt and question mark, and it will just it will not autocomplete, it will just print possible completions for you. You can also press Control and asterisk. Does this work? No, it does not work, because again, I need to press Alt, Shift, and the number, which in DWM has different meaning. It moves my window to the other tab, so it will not work on my machine. But if you want to insert completions, you will just press Alt and asterisk, which is Shift 8, I think. You can also press Alt CD. Let's go to Documents, and let's see Notes. And I have, let's make some directory here. Let's test and Kadir test 2. Right now I have 4 files and 2 directories in this directory, and I can press CD. Let's say cut. Oh, maybe not CD. ls. And pressing Tab will just print all possibilities. Pressing Alt and question mark will also print all possibilities, but pressing Alt Alt/ will complete only the file name. So flipping sources, for example. So you can, instead of using Tab to complete the whole word, no matter what it is, for example, L, if I press ls, Bash will will print all possible completions to these 2 words, which is mostly commands ls, but also lsbrk, lscpu, lsoff, lsusb. But let's say I do not want to try to complete anything. I want to complete only file names, because, for example, my file name might be named ls. So then I would press Alt and / /, and Alt / would only complete file names and not commands. So that's it. And yes, I guess it's that's it for completions. And there's also another thing, the last thing in today's video, which is backwards search in Bash, because you can scroll through your previous and next commands using up and down arrows, up to move to the previous and down to move to the next command. But let's say you've entered a lot of commands and your history is very big. So, and you would like to list only, scroll only through those commands that has some pattern in them. So let's say I want to go to the previous to the previous command ls. So how can I do it? You can use something like backwards search, and you enter this mode by pressing Ctrl R. You can see now that it's reverse I search, and right now if I press ls and press Ctrl R, it will match only those elements in my history that matches to these words that I've typed. And right now I can press enter, and this command will be executed. But now I'm not in the home directory, so let's cd to it and redo this. Control, well, let's say ls boot grab cog, and it's pressing enter just redo this command. So that's reverse search, and it's very useful command in Bash. There's also something like reverse forward search, and you do it with Control S, but it does not work on my with my in my machine, or because my entire terminal just refused to cooperate. Control R, Control S. No, Control S just puts this window to sleep, I guess. So maybe it's something with DWM again. All right, so that would be it for today's video. Let me know if this topic was interesting to you, or I can change something with the way I do my videos, or if you want to listen about something else. And what else? See you in the next episode, and have a nice day. See ya.